Oilerslive podcast. Oilerslive podcast.
Now, get ready to talk hockey. Streaming from the Oilers Live Studio. Subscribe or follow today.
Hey, it's Oilers Live on the drive home. My name is Michael, also known as Oilers Live. I've got my co-host, Mr. Dash in the Park. We're going to take our new listeners and our regulars home tonight. Our live show is now on EdmontonSportsTalk.com. And you can also find us at youtube.ca/heavy hockey. Join in the chat. Facebook.com/Oilers hockey podcast, or no, sorry, Oilers podcast. I should know this stuff by now. I've only been doing it for 6 years. And of course, on X at Heavy Hockey Net. You can find us in all those places. Join in the chat, and we'll be happy to take you. Hey, Dash, welcome back. Welcome back.
Act like you've been here before, buddy.
Yeah.
Hey.
Yeah,
Jeez.
I know.
Easy for you to say. Thank you. Good to be back. Always good to be back. Always
Look
good
at
to be
you.
talking.
Good hat and good hoodie. We love the hoodie.
Hey.
Yeah.
Feeling the vibe from the rink last night. The Oilers remain undefeated with me at Rogers Place. So
Yeah. Is
I
that
just
an
say
all
they,
year thing?
all year, baby.
Every game. Right on.
Yeah. Well, and Commonwealth, I might add too.
Oh yeah. Yeah. Fair enough. And that like even through the stretch at the beginning of the season.
Yep.
Wow.
Yep. Got lucky.
Wow. Maybe you're not the lucky one. Maybe
I
they're
am the
lucky
lucky
to have
one.
you in the building.
Well, there you go. Well, buy me tickets. I'm good for it. If you
Yeah,
want to give me comp me for the run or get us that heavy hockey press pass, I'm all
That's
for
right.
it.
The press pass is coming. Welcome everybody.
Yeah, it's a weird
to the
game.
show.
It's
Was a
game.
weird
Just,
game. Was a
kind of
weird game.
Oddball, to be honest. I thought it was a Jekyll and Hyde kind of performance. I was concerned in the first, then I was more concerned in the second. That might have been their worst second period I've seen in a long time, and that's saying a lot because their second periods suck. Yeah, it was just, kind of another one of those games like it was against Anaheim where they decided to, let's pull up our shorts and go get at it and win this one, and they did.
Yeah, I mean, I've been saying that throughout the whole stretch is they've won a whole bunch that they didn't win early in the season. They found ways to win. As X, I'm trying to get used to calling it X. As X started to explode after the second period, we were, the buses were powering up as we had guys getting ready to be bussed out of town.
The tire fire gifts were on alert.
Oh yeah, everything was going completely wrong. I thought to myself, you have this awful display. What we can all, I think everybody agrees, wasn't a great 2 periods. I can't remember, you wouldn't have seen it. You were at the game, but they interviewed somebody in the middle of the game. I think it might have been Connor McDavid, and he said, we're not playing well right now, right? But they were tied after 2. If you're gonna be awful through 2 periods of play, well, be awful and be tied, right? You only need 1 good period, and so that's the silver lining there. I prepared some few questions, for you as we look at this, and we can both talk about it and discuss after, but I wanted to get your opinion. I mean, it's always different when you're at the game. I think you see things other people don't see. But I wanted to see, this was an interesting game. I mean, it was a tale of really sort of 2 periods and then a separate third period that seemed completely different from the rest of them. I'd like to know, outside of McDavid, I mean, we always have to preface that here. We know he's going to show up, but who stepped up last night? Who needed to be better? And if you could give me 2 takeaways from last night's game, I'll give you my version after the fact from what I saw on TV, but I'm really curious to hear, from you having been at the game.
I think that like ultimately the rink, I think that like there was a nervousness. The atmosphere was a little bit odd. It was off. There was just something in the arena, and I don't know, maybe it was just getting spanked by LA, and right, we can get into that, but we won't. I just honestly think that was a really, really tired team. They decided they just weren't going to fight back in that fight. This one, they decided they were going to fight back. They went into it. Definitely, you could tell in the second intermission, somebody said something or something changed. Not to mention Knobloch making changes. So, to stick to your questions, who stepped up? Skinner kept them in that game in the second period.
Yeah.
And like absolute dog ass. Skinner made the saves when he needed to. He was very, shall we say, Fuhrer-esque last night, right? Like, you look up at the end of it and you got a 4 spot up there, whether that 4th one was garbage goal or garbage time or whatever is negligible, but there's still a 4 spot and you got a W and you made big saves when you needed to. I thought it was not only in the second period, but in that the penalty kill in the third period too. I think that was a big momentum keeper, and the momentum shifter for me was the Holloway goal.
Oh, beauty.
So who stepped up? I don't know. Like my B-lister might be Coach Knobloch. He's got a golden finger, man. He sees something in somebody. He sees what's going on in their game. He has that little bit of the chemical formula identified. He just knows what the missing pieces are. And then he looks down the bench and goes, that guy's doing that this game. I'm going to put him there and I'm going to put him there. And man, he's rarely wrong. All those D pairings last night were a little suspect at times, but the forward group, like, and I don't know who was in charge of those D pairings, but ultimately Knobloch, I don't know, man. I give him the 3rd star of the game again, and I don't know who I want to ask you, actually. We'll go off topic maybe once we've got through this, but write this down. I want to know who the Molson Cup 3 stars were on TV, because I was kind of shocked at the in-house ones. So write that down. Who needed to be better? The whole goddamn team outside of McDavid and Skinner, and I don't know, like Nuge at times. Everybody. Fogle probably was my biggest disappointment. I thought he was really struggling with the puck a lot. I thought that entire line, Draisaitl, McLeod, and sorry, not Draisaitl, McLeod, Fogle, and Holloway, pardon me, were just skating around really fast. Like they weren't hitting anything. They were making okay hockey plays, and I don't know. Fogle just looked like he struggled there. Maybe I'll use this as a segue back into the 3 stars thing, but the in-house 3 stars, Cece had the 3rd star, and I don't give a shit if he got his first goal in 199 games or whatever it was. I thought he was potentially at fault for 2 of the 4 Red Wings goals, and he looked lost on the penalty kill. So honestly, even though like Cece got his first goal and hats off, good for you. I'm sure that feels good. I'm sure the team loved it. I'm sure the boys in the room loved it. But I thought Cece honestly could have been better too. My 2 takeaways. I don't know. Maybe the obvious one is when Connor decides to do something, Connor's going to do it. 4 assists in the 3rd period, ties a franchise record. When you're tying records that Wayne Gretzky's, set, that's impressive. Now Gretzky's done 4 assists in a period 9 times, but McDavid just decided he was going to win that game in the 3rd period. We kind of joked, the good buddy I was there with from Saskatchewan, one of my great buddies, and he's a great hockey mind too. He's got 2 kids in hockey, and he's coached. He's got relatives that have played very high level. He kind of kept saying like, this isn't what I expected to see out of McDavid tonight. I thought he fumbled the puck a lot in LA, and I didn't.
Ton. Yeah.
To me, I was like, the ice is warm, or they didn't freeze the pucks up or whatever. But I kind of started seeing it again last night. Right? There's these like you didn't see those big bursts up the ice, and you didn't see those like, there's a few hitch passes, there's a few whatever, but you're bound to go bursting up the ice when somebody gives you that hitch pass. I thought that it was just like I don't know, like just not the Connor. But then all of a sudden, 1 secondary assist, 2 secondary assists, second period, a third secondary assist comes up, and I make the joke and I said, like this is an average game for Connor at best. Average game at best, and he's got 3 points right now. But then he just decided to go nuclear and get 3 primary assists in the third period, or 4 primary assists in the. And I'm actually, you know what? I also want to ask you too, and maybe write this down. But when he stripped Sider of the puck in the corner there and created that awesome opportunity for the goal that got scored, why did he not get an assist on that? I think it was.
Oh, I thought he did.
I didn't think
thought
he
he
got an
did.
assist on that play.
That was wasn't that the Holloway goal?
No, that was
I think it was
the
the Holloway goal.
Draisaitl to.
Oh no, Holloway was McDavid.
Or was that the Bouchard?
Yeah, that was the Holloway goal. And and it went he stripped it, took the shot. Oh man.
I don't know. We can get back to it, but I honestly thought it was a 7-point night is my point. It could have easily almost been that way, but the second takeaway, other than McDavid having a cheat code, which we all know and is pretty much stating the obvious, the PK has got to tighten up. Got to tighten up. Getting a little leaky last few games. Last night, like 10 seconds into that Gagne penalty, like come on, 10 seconds. And who scored the other power play goal? Man, there's so many goals scored last night. Was it DeBrincat or Kane that scored the other power play goal?
Veleno, DeBrincat, both scored.
DeBrincat scored on the power play. So it was that one where they were cycling around and Kane sauced that puck through 3 guys.
Oh, yeah.
You could feel that one coming. At least in the arena, there was like, oh boy. And like, somebody please watch DeBrincat. And I think on both of those power play goals that the Red Wings scored, CC kind of lost his assignment. Like he lost his priority assignment on who he should have been covering. And again, maybe if I'm repeating what the commentary already said, because I didn't hear it, I apologize. But I'd say that they need to tighten up that penalty kill. The 10 games prior, I really noticed that the goalies seemed to know where the shots were coming from. They were making their movements from side to side a lot less. There was a lot less east-west, coast to coast movement, but it was there again last night. I really started to see Skinner bouncing around, CC kind of scrambling a little bit. And so I don't know what's going on there, if they're getting a little too confident, but that would be my second takeaway.
Yeah. Hard to think they're confident after that LA game.
Well, just the PK being confident, because they were just like, undefeated for 10 games prior to that.
Yeah. Here's where I think, who stepped up. You said Knoblauch. I mean, Knoblauch's been great. I think he's done really great things on the lineups. I agree 100%. I might, even add in there in the third period, I thought Nuge was really good. Just taking the puck to the net and doing foundational things really well. Right. Yeah. And I think there's something to be said about that, especially with a team of this high caliber of offense, right? You can expect them to make 20 passes, but there was one where it was blocked, where had it got through, I think Nuge would have had another goal. The goal that he did have, did he have 2 last night or just the one? No, he had two last night. Yeah, I guess at the end. Right. Yeah. The kick in, but I thought he played really well, and that's not to say he played great, in the first and second. I don't think anybody played really well. I noticed what you had said and what your friend said about McDavid. I mean, he seemed to be losing the puck in LA, and then I actually saw the same thing. He lost the puck once early in the game. I thought, oh no, what's going on with him? This is not classic McDavid. But then that Sider takeaway, I mean, you just, any worry that you had that maybe something.
I think that was the Hyman goal. That was the Hyman goal. I think Connor went and stripped Sider of the puck in the corner.
Oh, and then Hyman, that's right. Hyman sort of got a couple of hits on it, and
then Draisaitl wheeled around and put it on Hyman's tape. And so that goal ended up in officially Hyman from Draisaitl.
That's right.
And I thought that maybe when he separated man from puck there, that he got a piece of the puck, but Again, I didn't watch any highlights today or go
Yeah,
back to
I'd have
see
to
if he got
look
a
at it a
piece of
little
it.
bit
But
closer. I didn't. I mean,
when
when
they
you
announced the
hear,
goal, I just remember
yeah,
being shocked. I thought, wow, like McDavid didn't get an assist on that. Like the whole
yeah, he
goal was because
clearly
he,
deserved it.
yeah.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, that was,
Sorry to
that's
interrupt.
classic McDavid, though, right there, right? Like,
Yeah. Yep.
that takeaway. I mean, Sider later on that game looked a little bit concerned and almost gave the puck up to him
Oh,
again, and that gets in your head. I mean, when you got a guy like McDavid on the ice, and no doubt
Sider
that's
had a lot of reasons to be concerned last
oh,
night.
absolutely.
He
Yeah, it
took
was
that boy
funny
to the
because they
woodshed.
were praising him early in the game, and he is a hell of a player. Don't get me wrong,
Yep.
but
Yep.
they were praising him early, and then he was noticeably, struggling to contend with McDavid throughout the game. Who needed to be better? Fogel's great. I mean, Fogel's doing what Fogel does, and is when he's streaky, when he's on, he's such a valuable
Yeah, good
player.
point.
And when he's not on, he gets lost in the shuffle. Um, he, thankfully though, he's got, he's on lately more than he's off, and you know, we'd be happy to have Connor Brown do half of what Fogel's doing. I'd say from an offensive standpoint, uh, and Fogel needed to be better. A couple guys need CC. Yeah, you're right about that. It was just an ugly all around first two periods. I mean, they were, you talk about Skinner saving the day, and then the that one where he, it's cross ice pass and in the net by Kane. I think it was the Kane goal.
Yeah.
They were nice to Skinner on the broadcast, but he wasn't close, and it's not because Skinner's wasn't good enough. It's because no goalie in the world would be close enough. And that's the kind of high danger chances that the Oilers were giving up early in the season.
CC let Kane walk in there. Like, I think he thought that Ekholm was going to take him, and then Ekholm went straight to the guy in the crease, and CC's like, oh, you're going to take him, and by the time it was too late.
Yeah, and I agree. I mean, it just seemed a little disheveled, and I don't know if it has anything to do with what I think might be the only time that I haven't agreed with the coaching staff in this little stretch, the change in the defensive pairings that they attempted. And part of me gets it. You come off a break, you come off of a loss. Now's the time to change something, right? Like, if you're going to change something, change it then. It failed miserably. Now let's get back on track, right?
Yeah.
Let's find. And Knobloch did just that, right? Like, he started to put the D pairings back together at the end of the LA game, and realizing we've made a big mistake, right?
Yeah.
And they did. My takeaways were a lot similar. I mean, this, as I said early, if you're gonna, look awful through two periods, look awful and keep the game close. You only need that. You only need that third, and I'm excited that this team is doing that. The other takeaway, and I want to see this more than we have. I want to see a little bit of Perry, Kane, and McDavid play play together. Like, come playoffs, like Perry, Kane, and Draisaitl. Is that not going to be the meanest line in hockey? Like, I'm excited.
Katy Perry line.
Yeah, the Katy Perry line. And wow, I mean,
it looks nice, but it bites.
Absolutely. I mean, those three could
She
be.
looks at you with those big blue eyes, and before you know it, you got a stick in your nuts.
Yeah. But it was good. Like, I think we're starting to see them get a little bit edgier game after game.
Yeah,
Right?
they'll claw their way there.
Yeah, and let's give Perry a little bit of a break. He had a little bit longer off season than he would have liked, and so he's just getting into the swing.
Yeah, he had a little temper tantrum last night there when McDavid got that poke.
Yeah, absolutely.
To bring his Erie Otters teammate gives him a little one after McDavid goes for the puck, and all of a sudden Corey Perry's going to fight DeBrincat. I thought that was pretty cute.
Well, and that's when I thought, like, McDavid, has got an edge to him, right? And if him playing with Perry and Kane, on a night where somebody's pissed him off, like
Oh,
if McDavid's in a bad mood, and that's when Knobloch decides to throw him out with Perry and Kane, watch out.
I mean, you could insert Dreisaitl's name in that sentence.
Absolutely. I mean,
Right? Like those
of
two
them.
guys, like they're probably two of the top 5 dirtiest guys on our team.
They really are, right?
And I love it.
And
absolutely love it.
they're leaders, right? Like they care. Like if
Mhm.
somebody tries to tell me that McDavid doesn't care about winning, come on. Draisaitl doesn't care about winning. Come on.
I mean, what was McDavid's comment? Remember, what was that situation? Vinny DeHarnay apologized to him for a play he made that made Connor a minus. And in the dressing room, he just, hey, sorry, Connor. Connor said, I don't give a rat's ass. I just want to fucking win. Right? Like, attaboy, Connor. That's my captain.
I love that you censored the first F and then the second
Well,
one.
I had to be verbatim. That's how it was said.
I love it. Dursa from 97 Octane says, years past, they find a way to lose last night. And not even years past. I mean, half a season ago.
Yeah. First 10 games.
First 10
I'd
games.
agree with Dursa on that one. First 10 games of this year, sure, or first 12 games, but I don't know. Pre-All-Star game last season, they've been since then pretty damn solid, man. There's not many games they play where I don't think, they got a chance of coming back even when they're behind. But Dursa's right, and you could expand on that, and I'm sure he knows this too, is that they're winning in different ways. Like, 14 of those 16 games or 13 in a row or whatever it was 2 goals or less against, and doing it with the penalty kill and without the power play, and they had some secondary scoring, although that's died right off. So it was good to see. Like I keep likening these games to a boxing or a UFC fight, right? Like they just went into last night and they just kept throwing jabs. I'm just going to hang in this thing. Oh, there's one on the jaw. Oh, I'm going to punch back. There you go. You got one. And then they just went Roy Jones in the third period and said, okay, I'm playing with this guy long enough. I'm just going to finish him.
Yeah. It's good.
And they kind of did that in Anaheim. They kind of, and that's the Oilers didn't be able to used to do that.
Think about good teams, though. That's what they do, right?
Learning how to lead.
Yeah.
Learning how to lead.
Yeah. I mean, they don't need to be good for 3 periods of play. They need to be good for the, for the important period, the one that matters, right? Whether that's the first period, the second or third period, but they got to take the lead someplace. And
good enough not to lose.
That's right. I mean, you were talking about, Skinner and being Grant Fuhr-esque. I mean, that's exactly Skinner. He kept the team in there, and in fact, that's what the goaltending's been doing. They've been, which is, what we've always wanted. They, just keep the team in. Don't lose the game for us, right? In fact, they did in LA too, right? Like Skinner did that in LA, but the Oilers didn't do anything.
That's
right?
That's right. Speaking of LA, let me surprise you with this one. You don't know this question's coming. What brought you more joy last night? Connor McDavid +6 and 6 points, or Anze Kopitar -6?
I looked at the score and I couldn't. Yeah, I might have.
Kopitar -6, Bearsy.
I might have smiled. I know, that's unreal.
And
to come off of a 4-0 win against one of the top ranked teams in the league right now, and then I don't know, like what happened. Did they?
Sorry, Jeff Aid, but against Buffalo. What did they? You and I have been in Buffalo together.
I know.
Everything was closed at 5 p.m. Like what did they actually get up to the night before that they couldn't pull that off in Buffalo? Oh, I loved it. I loved it.
And that's that's not even just
brought you more joy, but I'm going to tell you my answer. It's Kopitar at -6 because I didn't want that new coach bump to keep building momentum, and that was just kind of a slap right back in the face.
I think there's more wrong with LA than coaching.
Oh,
I
for
mean, that's
sure. But they celebrated like they won the Stanley Cup against us, man.
yeah, they did.
Oh,
I
we
mean,
finally conquered our demons. We've slayed the Oilers dragon. Celebrate, celebrate. And then they just like had nothing left. Nothing. We can't beat Buffalo. Oh, it's great to see. Which brought you more joy?
Yeah, it was the Kings. I mean, look, I love a good Connor McDavid game, 6 points. A couple of them were secondary. You know, he made a couple of, all-time moves, which he always does. I think I'm just a little too spoiled. Like, it's like, I mean, 6 points is still a big deal, but it's still like, it's Connor McDavid doing Connor McDavid.
You are spoiled. You don't have to think you're spoiled. You are spoiled.
Yeah, we are.
Connor McDavid's going to do that again. Anze Kopitar's never going to go dash six again.
That's right. Right? And there is joy, especially coming off of that 4-0 loss. And
it's redemption.
It is redemption, and it's good. It's good for the team. Keeps them 5 points ahead. Yeah. I mean, there's lots of reasons to love that for sure. Hey, it's good to have you back. It is good to have you back.
It's my 95th episode.
Oh, geez. You're still counting? I don't even know how many episodes I've done.
Oh, I just had a little ticker. You got scratches on my bedpost for you. It's Valentine's Day.
You're not the only one.
And this is our 95th weekly date. This one just happens to.
Is it really 95?
Valentine's Day. Yeah, 95.
We'll have to celebrate 100 when we get there.
96.
When we get there.
Then you'll be on a plane, and we'll be celebrating a championship against the Edmonton
Sports Talk congratulations on calling undefeated January.
Yeah, I heard you give me my due last week, so I wasn't expecting it. Yeah, I know.
Hey, I gave it to you on X before the game was even done.
Yeah, it's ballsy. It was ballsy.
Yeah. I mean, they were up by 3 at that point, but that, you know what? That's great. That's awesome.
You said it. It was calculated, and you looked at it, and maybe they could do that, right? And I don't know what it was. 16 wins. 2 of them were against top 10 teams. No, none of them were against top 10 teams. 2 of them were against teams ranked 10 to 20th, and I think 14 of them were all against the bottom dwellers of the league. But I don't care. Whatever. Dubs are dubs. Everybody's got to play those teams eventually.
Dan from hockeyfights.com, Danalytic, I think he goes by.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
He put out a good Instagram post. The NHL put a little graphic out, 10 against top under whatever teams, basically showing it was the lower half of the league responsible for those 16 wins. And then he, added to it. He said, all right, now do your team's 16 wins. Right?
Now you go.
Now you go.
Because you know what? This hasn't happened since the 1960s for a Canadian team. So you know what? In the last, I don't know, 60 years, everybody's had to play bottom dwelling teams over and over and over again for 60 years. Guess what? When we did it, we beat ours. Suck it.
Kings lost to the Sabres, as a matter of fact. Right?
You know what's the most incredible thing about that streak? The most incredible thing about that streak is that on December 6th, we were 12 points behind the Canucks. We do nothing but break records and break necks and cash checks for the next 16 games. And 2 months later to the date, we were 14 points behind the Canucks.
Unreal.
And is that a segue for you to get going on the Gary Bettman point? No, it is not. But it's why.
we will get there. This is Oilers Live from the Heavy Hockey Network. Proud to be a friend of Edmonton Sports Talk. When we get back, we're going to talk trade deadline in the second segment. Happy to have you back, Dash. Give us a little break. We'll be right back. Devin, Bruce, and the rest of the fantasy hockey hacks right here on Edmonton Sports Talk, Wednesdays at 9 p.m. Mountain, or tune in at youtube.ca/heavy hockey, and make sure you like and subscribe. Looking for a hockey fix? We've got editorials, fantasy hockey, monthly brackets, and more. Go to heavyhockey.com. Hey, it's Oilers Live Tuesdays. a regular 9 p.m. Mountain Time, now streamed live on EdmontonSportsTalk.com, or tune in at youtube.ca/heavy hockey. Make sure you subscribe.
Oilers Live Podcast.
Want hockey podcasts? Tough Call Podcast, 99 Forever Podcast, fantasy hockey hacks, and replays of Oilers Live. Available anywhere you get podcasts. Just search for Heavy Hockey Network or go to heavyhockey.com. That's right. We need your help. We need your subscriptions. Make sure you subscribe at www.youtube.ca/heavyhockey.
Oilers Live Podcast. Oilers Live Podcast.
Hey, it's Michael back with the Oilers Live and my co-host Dash in the park. We're here for the second segment. First segment, we talked about the Oilers in Detroit, a little bit about the Oilers in LA. Of course, now we're talking playoff hockey in the Oilers' future, something we weren't so sure about early on in the season. And that does mean that the Oilers will likely be active at the trade deadline. As everybody knows, they've got tons of problems on the old cap space. And so they're going to have to be creative, which they've been creative in the past. What we're going to talk about, what do the Oilers need? Is it a puck distributor, top six forward? Those have been called around. Something I don't see a lot of is maybe more veteran presence, maybe another Corey Perry type. We'll talk about some of the Oilers trade targets. First, let's start. When I think about the team, I'll start, and then Dash, you can respond this time. When I think about the team going into the trade deadline, and I'm thinking about what's in the prospect pool, what we've got on defense. A couple things scare me, especially the last few games. We've had a little bit of adversity, 2-2 since the break. Looking a little bit sloppy on defense most of those nights, actually. Maybe with the exception of, I thought the Oilers played a great game in Vegas, got goalied. But the other three, on defense, looking a little bit sloppy. Some could be chalked up to pairings. Who knows? I'd like to see the defense short up a little bit, and that might come through Broberg. They're talking he might be ready to come up and play. Problem I have is I can't put a finger on what the problem is, right? Like I look at these guys and I think, out of these 6D, who's the guy that's the problem? And then when I think about that, I think about how they perform in the playoffs. I think a guy like Kulak, who some nights you could, put the finger on Kulak. But then, come playoff time, I mean, that guy's a performer. So I would love to see somebody on D, and maybe somebody, whether it's Broberg coming up, maybe a trade or a puck distributor would be great. And then a lot of people talking top six forward. And for me, I'd like to see a bottom six forward, like a guy like I guess if you add in a top six forward, you're going to push one of those guys down, and maybe that's the answer. So if you can get a top six forward, go for it. But what this team really needs is a little bit of, like, McLeod was great when he was playing the wing. Now he's still looking good. That Holloway line, with McLeod, they're doing a lot of things well, but they're still not putting the puck in the net. And I think we need a little bit of that. And so McLeod, Holloway, Fogle, something's got to give there. Connor Brown, I've given up on the goal. That never will. I mean, CC scored. I mean, CC scored. So Connor Brown's done some good things on
Toby
the PK.
Reeder's going to score before Connor Brown will.
yeah, it's quite possible. Yeah. So anyway, I mean, I think I would love the Oilers to shore up D. Thankfully, and Dash should be happy to hear this. I think goaltending's. I'd be happy with taking the goaltending into the playoffs. What we have, and knowing that Jack Campbell's in the AHL doing reasonably well, I think gives you a little bit more confidence in knowing if something happens, you hope. And Jack Campbell's a bit of a enigma because I think, a lot of it's mental for him, but you hope that he can come up and continue that strong play. Right. And so anyway, that in a nutshell, that's kind of where I'm at. I think priority though would be somewhere in the forward range. I think it's a bottom, like in that third line, somebody that can really help out there, like a game changer on that third line, somebody that's going to score, a couple extra goals. But that could happen if you get a top six guy, you're going to knock somebody down. Right. So I guess I'll go with top six forward as my priority. Yeah. Your thoughts? And let's get some.
Well, you're in line
because I'd love to reply to some of those things as well. Not you. Sorry. Go ahead. Yeah. Oh, I said let's get some people chatting in the chat. I'd love to hear what everybody else thinks.
Yeah.
But you go ahead.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah. Okay, so you agree with Mac T. He was doing Mac T Mondays there with Stoff and said that that's, for him, far and away, the number one priority is the top six forward. And he said just what you did, is that you push somebody else down, whether it's, one of those guys that was playing the wing with Draisaitl, as in McLeod or Fogle, or, currently you keep somebody else down and Perry or if Kane becomes a third liner as a result, so be it. And then you improve your bottom six that way as well. I don't disagree with that. I kind of all of the above, if we can.
Yeah.
I don't know what, and it's not unreasonable. I don't think, honestly. The only thing that's unreasonable about us making moves is you said it, is the cap trouble we're in. And, you look up NHL cap trouble in the guide and record book, and there's a picture of Ken Holland's face looking right back at him when he's staring in that guide and record book, because it's whether it's
Trelly's in there somewhere too.
Yeah, I was gonna say whether he adopted some of that or not, whatever, right? Or whether it was COVID induced. I'm not here for that argument, but ultimately the Oilers are 100% in dire cap straits. Does that mean it can't be done? No, he got himself Ekholm last year, and we're in pretty similar cap trouble. And all the Oilers have done, and I want you to listen real close here, all the Oilers have done since we picked up Ekholm is go 50, 18, and 2. Let that sink in. And of those 18 losses, 9 of them were at the beginning of this year when he was hurt.
Yeah.
50, 18, and 2. We picked up a defenseman, the goddamn bloody Swedish Viking, that made enough of a difference for us to go 50, 18, and 2. We need that guy again. Now, is that a tall task? You're goddamn right. But it's been done. You can trade the Cal Peterson contract. If you can get Ekholm out of Nashville last year when they're a borderline wildcard team, go pick on them again. I bring Barry back. You get your vibe daddy back in the dressing room. You get him at a reduced cost. He's that puck moving defenseman.
No, we've talked about him before.
Whatever, sure, whatever.
I'd hate to see him, but I get where you're coming.
What about Tanev? Better in the playoffs? Yeah, Tanev's exactly. If you gave me one choice, it might be Tanev. Now, can we get that guy out of the Flames, especially since they're crawling back up towards a wild card position? Trade Elias and then start. Does their GM just decide? Shit, maybe we are buyers. I don't know. Who knows with the Flames? But yeah, a guy like Tanev, everybody Tanev has ever played with his entire career has been better as a result, right? there's a joke out there going that like if Tanev took 10% on every one of his contract or his D partners' next contracts, he'd have made more money than his own. He's made so many people around him better, and like that's exactly what you need when we've got guys like Doharney and Broberg. If he doesn't get traded, I think he's getting traded. Bouchard, you know what I mean, right? Like imagine if you could put Ekholm and Nurse as a shutdown pair, and then you got like Tanev and Bouchard on your second pairing still, and then you've still got a Ceci or a Kulak or a Doharney in your third pairing. And now that's the depth you need. So, okay, all in all, top six forward, yes, I do think we need that. Everybody can kill the Jake Gensel rumors. It's not happening.
It's huge dollars. Like
it's my gut telling me this, but it's also an educated gut. I mean, you and I don't have sources, but we've got connections,
but it is
I've
rumored that
he's but it's not
key.
True. Yeah, but it's not happening. Maybe there's been talks, maybe there hasn't. Who knows? Dude, if you're the GM of the Pittsburgh Penguins, and they're how many points out of the wild card are they right now?
Yeah, they've got to be a lot, like quite a ways back.
No, they're like 3 points out of a wild card, dude.
Yeah,
and they have like 3 games in hand or something like that, or they're like 5 points out. Where are they? Let me just look for sure. 53.
Like they're not 60. Getting any closer.
They're 7 points out of a wild card spot, and they have 3 games in hand. You win those 3 games, you're 1 point out of a wild card spot. Are you going to be the guy that walks into the dressing room and tells Letang, Crosby, and Malkin that you just traded Jake Gensel?
I agree on that.
It's not happening, and then the price is so flipping high that. Right. What I'll never forget Jake Gensel for is, you know how the Athletic has those, player surveys or whatever they throw around, and everyone's who. There was one of them was like, who, if you had to get punched in the face by one NHLer, who would it be? And he won. Because he's like such a frail little boy, right? Like, is that who you want taken into the playoffs? I don't know. I
don't remember that question at all, but
kill those rumors. Awesome. It's not happening. It's like I don't think that Gensel's coming this way. So, can you find a Boone Jenner? Can you find somebody like a Henrique? Can you find I don't know. Probably, hopefully.
Yeah,
a lot of rumors out of Philadelphia.
LeBron says Oilers are number 1 suitor, and that's in Dursa. I mean, that's been everybody. I think a lot of people. That's Gensel's a target for the Oilers. There's no doubt. There's a lot of talk about him.
That's probably the Oilers putting it out there so that
it could be
people see that they're trying to go and get. There's no effing way that Gensel gets traded. I'd be shocked.
What you know who I like? Daniel Sprong. Saw him last night. He got in on a point. Wings player, obviously.
Yep.
Yeah.
There's a few Wings players that I wouldn't mind, honestly, that Dave Perron, man, that guy.
I love Perron. Yeah.
He's like the Chris Jericho for any wrestling fans of hockey. He's just constantly reinventing himself. Well, maybe without the.
Could you imagine Perron, Perry,
Draisaitl, dude? No.
Like,
Kane,
I love it.
Perry, and Perron. Can you imagine?
On one line.
Yes.
Yeah.
That's your third line, dude. That's
absolutely
great. That's great.
Yeah, no, I'd love that. I'd be all over that.
They're trustworthy. They're veteran, right? Like a guy like that would be phenomenal. Honestly, I'd take Clean Costin back in a heartbeat.
I might not do Costin.
Really? Why?
Yeah, I mean,
there's that bottom 6 guy you want. I know he's not the top 6 guy, but like he took $2 million at 2 years. What if Yzerman retains half? And now Costin costs you the $1 million that you were willing to give him in the first place.
He's ineligible to come back, is he not? I think we talked about this.
You know what? Dursa did the research actually, and he's listening. So I can't remember exactly. I think there was a little bit of a clause in something.
Like he can't come back and have it retained. I think there can't be any retain.
Oh, maybe that's what it was. Yeah. I don't
Yeah.
know.
Eberle's name's been circulated. For me, that's an absolute no.
It's the same for me with Sprong and Gretzel, really. Like it just is another small guy that's not
fair.
ferocious enough. That's not. Eberle doesn't. I love Ebbs. I wish we'd had him back. I would take him back. Absolutely, I'd welcome him back with open arms. But he's not the player we need. He's not going to contribute on the power play. He's not going to contribute on the penalty kill. He's not going to really contribute a lot. His 5-on-5 scoring has never really been his forte either. He's not going to hit. He's not going to.
Yeah, I mean, and he's the kind of guy that the fans turn on.
No, they did it once. I mean, he's not on this team because Chiarelli dumped him after his playoff run in 2017. So I wouldn't want to put him through that again, to be honest. But I think there's a lot of solid veteran names out there. Like, I think you can still go out and get I don't know, man. If Nashville is willing to let a few guys shake loose, like depending how they do, like we seem to trade really well with those guys, given what we've done in the past. Like maybe if it's not Barry, it's a Luke Shen for that 7th role and that veteran part you're looking for, right? That doesn't cost you a bunch, although Shen's
I think I've heard McCarron's name.
Years, so
McCarron's name bandied about.
Both Walker and Sealer from Philadelphia have been rumored. I've heard that we've had scouts at every Philadelphia game for weeks and vice versa. There's an ongoing dialogue between us and the Flyers pretty much constantly. I would say that, I don't know this for sure as fact, but I wouldn't doubt that Holland or whoever's running this goddamn team, GM McDavid or Jeff Jackson,
Jackson
has 2 or 3 trades in the hopper already, right? And he's just kind of trying to, well, let's see if we can pull this one off and this one, or if we can pull this, or let's see who wants Broberg the most. Is it Nashville or is it Pittsburgh? Is it, I don't know.
So there's a segment of the Oilers fandom that would say you're crazy for trading Broberg.
Yeah.
I mean,
it has to be done at this point. Well, then,
get
him back in the lineup and play him, and you can't do that, right? Like, we don't know that he's an NHL regular for the regular season, let alone all of a sudden going to step up. He's been great in the AHL, and maybe he steps back into the NHL in a regular season role and does well, but
he's never shown that he's an NHLer. Not yet.
He's shown that
he's capable, like that at some point that he could be capable.
Yeah. I want to touch on something else he said about the D, because he said that, you don't know who you'd take out, right? That there's the CCs and the Kulaks and these guys that are in the $3.5 million range that we could create some cap space with. It's like this catch-22, or 6 to 1 and half a dozen to the other, because there's not a lot of guys at their price point that can do what they're doing. Like, I think CC's earned his money, but ultimately there's still a lot of veteran guys and veteran defensemen out there that are in that $1.5 million to $2.5 million range that maybe can do the same job, right? Like, what if Luke Shen comes over at a reduced cost? Can he not kind of do what Kulak does? Right? Like, you know what I mean? And then that $3 million's freed up to maybe do something else with Philadelphia, or you know what I mean? So I think that there's going to be a combination of a couple deals out there.
Yeah.
But for me, I think the team, what I saw last night, really lacked versus Detroit, and you got to know that Holland and Yzerman try to build teams the same way, is moving that puck out of the back end. We've got nothing but people to score goals. Get the puck to them. And I would say both CC and Kulak, even though great defensemen, and Kulak might be our best defenseman at closing gaps, but that doesn't help you get the puck out of your end. And I think that's, when you take that whole formula of what you want your 6D to be doing, that's the element that's missing for us. We're not getting, like, Bouchard's tape-to-tape laser every time. Bouchard can skate the puck out of our end like the wind.
Yeah.
But both of them have these defensive laps and whatever and what have you. So what we need is, like, you're right, like a Tanev or a guy that can, like, still play the defensive side of the puck, but, like, still make those crisp passes and still be able to get us out of our own end. And I think that's why we might see a Kulak or a CC traded. It's not because they didn't earn their money. It's not because they weren't popular. It's not because they're not good in the room. It's not. It's just, if you take those 7D that we're going to go into the playoffs with, and you could swap one of those guys out for somebody that has a little bit of more offensive flair and a little bit of a better skater, I think that that's the proper adjustment to the formula. And it's nothing against those two guys. I just think it needs to happen. And if they can do that and find somebody that does it for $1.5 million to $2 million, well, now they've find some room to make some adjustments somewhere else in the lineup. So they might be able to improve the D and create cap space. And that's kind of what my answer to you on the whole Kulak CC thing is. And again, I'm not gassing up the bus for either one of those guys. And in fact, Kulak.
No, I think you hit the nail on the head.
But we got to swap.
The trade is right, because you look these 6D. It needs something, right?
Mm-hmm.
And the challenge is, what does it need? Well, what you got to do is you got to add to it without taking away from what's there, right?
Mm-hmm.
And that's I guess that's the part that's challenging me a little bit is I think, look, they've shown in the past 20 games they're a capable defense, right? Like they're part of the resurgence of our goaltending has been good defense, right? And they're playing the right system, they're doing well. You have to keep all of those elements. Like, you need the defensive CC plus, though, somebody who can move the puck a little bit better, right? And Kulak, same thing, right? Like I agree with you. I think you hit the nail on the head. Like, you got to take those players, find somebody that can do the same thing but adds a little dimension, use them as the trade bait, right? With whatever, maybe it's Broberg, maybe it's some picks, we've got prospects. Look, if you're either going for it or you're not going for it, right?
Yeah.
And going for it might mean trading away guys that you expect will be good in next year or 2 years from now.
We
right?
just ran out of runway with Broberg. It is what it is.
That's
it is
kind
what
of
it
the way
is.
I look at it.
Like, go on to another team, do great, be great. Honestly, I mean that. It's not the time. It didn't work out within the timelines that maybe each party expected. Doharney kind of knocked him down the depth chart based on need for the team. Really, like,
Well,
you penalty kill. Fuck, man, like, guy.
It's as much Broberg's fault as it is.
Sure. Oh, and that's what I'm saying, from both
Yeah.
ends. Absolutely, for sure, right? It just, the timing didn't work out. It doesn't mean he's not I don't know, maybe
He also suffered some injuries, setbacks, right?
But that's Broberg.
Yeah, it is.
When you don't have a radar for danger and you don't see that semi truck coming at you behind the net,
And he's been injured since junior, right?
The same way, over and over,
always,
just taking train hits from behind the net. So,
yeah.
I think it's too bad, and he's not going to find. We're going to make some sort of trade where a Kulak or a whatever gets swapped out for somebody else with term. So he's not taking anybody else out of this top six anytime soon. In fact, like, if we make proper trades, Doharney might bump to the 7th guy, and then Broberg's our 8th or 9th guy, and it's just never going to happen. So you might as well use him while he's playing like a gem in the A. You've got that trade chip right now. CC pumped his value up, scoring a goal. Just kidding. But, maybe that trade value is inflated. But you said prospects. Like, yeah, Borgo hasn't done much. Petrov's started off as a ball of fire, and now he's kind of cooled off a bit. Is he living up to his 6th round? I don't know. Ultimately, like, we've got a lot in the cupboard still to be able to deal if we need to. Plus this year's upcoming first.
Yeah, this is a team that has some enough good players on it for another year that those guys are a little bit expendable, right? Like, we've still got one more full season of Draisaitl before negotiation, right? I think those guys are expendable. I look, you're either like I said, you're either going for it or you're not.
Yeah.
And look, the other piece to this is, I just said it, is Draisaitl is negotiating next year.
Yeah.
Like, go for it. This is your year.
Yeah.
Right. And so if that means, like, in a heartbeat, I'd trade Burgo. In a heartbeat, I'd trade Petrov. In a heartbeat, I'd trade Broberg. And I could, I don't, and the first, like, do it all, whatever it takes. But the challenge will be cap space. And but they've got it done before. I mean, nobody saw Ekholm.
Yeah, I do, and I think that, well, because Nobody saw Ekholm coming because nobody saw Vibe Daddy getting traded out.
Yeah.
So there, and he's a Vibe Daddy because he's so popular in the room. And I think this year's Barry is Fogle. He's got the salary that can create the most value for us to be able to make a trade and make an upgrade. And no matter how popular he is in the room, no matter how hot he's been, his trade value is perfect right now. CC and Kulak's trade value is perfect. I see Dursey in here saying Broberg might be Kulak's replacement for next year. We're not trading Kulak without bringing another D back. So whoever that D isn't going to be on an expiring contract. They're going to have term. And I think that's a wash. So Broberg's still fighting somebody else for that spot instead of Kulak if that happens. So I think what we're going to see, I don't know. I'm not going to timestamp anything, or maybe I should, but I think we'll see Borgo out. I think we'll see Broberg out. I think we'll see the first round pick out. And I think we'll see Fogle out. And I think we'll see one of CC or Kulak out. And I think we're going to see a top 6 forward, potentially a third line center, and a D coming back. And if we can move Campbell, maybe we can bring a goalie.
That's a lot of moves.
But Fogle or Kulak or CC are 3 to 4 million. Then you bring in the guy that's only 1 or 2 million as the replacement. You get them to hold back salary. So now you're bringing in somebody that's a quarter of the price of those guys, and it allows you to get that depth we need. I don't know. That's the way I see it going down.
I see. Yeah. I think you're probably onto something. Kulak or CC on the way out. For sure. Right. Like they could on the right team, be they're veteran guys in this league. They could, be that sort of bridge to, a rebuild, right, for a team that just wants a couple of veteran guys. It all depends on who we're trading with.
Yeah.
So I could see that, I could see that being a positive. I definitely, as I said, like I just said, like any of those guys, Broberg, Burgo, whoever, do I want to see prospects go out the door? No. Right. But
I want to see a cup more.
Yeah, exactly. That's what it all boils down to. Definitely the picks are, on their way, right? Like whether we, want them or not. I mean, we've got 2024, we've got a first and a second. We don't have the third and fourth. So we've got 2, picks that are worthwhile. Yeah, there will be a change on the D, no matter how we look at it, because they need something, right?
Yeah.
And
I
that's
didn't see
something.
McLeod getting traded, to be honest.
That's an interesting one. Yeah, that's yeah. Look, I think if it means getting the right player in to take this team all the way, there are only a few untouchables on the team, right? Like, well, I mean, there's more than a few, but like, you don't touch Connor and Leon, obviously, Hyman, Nuge, and then the rest of the forwards are probably, I mean, you're not likely to see a Kane or a Perry or anybody go, but if the right deal is there, I mean, I think you just, you take what you get. And then, obviously, Nurse and Ekholm and Bouchard are untouchable, and Skinner, right? Outside of that, I mean, anything's on the table if it makes a difference on this team. And I'd be very hard pressed to believe that they're not having that same thought, right? Like when you just look at the fact that this has got to be the year, right? Like you could go into next year and say next year's the year, but that's a negotiation year for Draisaitl. You could be trading him at the deadline because you don't want to lose him for nothing. And
never
God
trading
help us
Draisaitl in a cup run. And, wow, that's not
that right. No, it's not going to happen. But you got to be aware of that, right? Like you have to know that that's at least a possibility. And so this has to be the year. There's no other year that you could have said last year, you could have said whatever year, but this, like you have zero choice. If you're going to go for it, This has to be the year to go for it. And with that mindset in mind, like everybody outside of the ones that I mentioned, should be considered if it makes the team better.
Yep.
Yeah. And that's
Yep.
just and I'm not saying, the Oilers are going to go out and trade, McLeod. I mean, you got to make the team better. You're not going to trade McLeod unless the team's better. That's my point. All right. That's good. Some good points there. When we get back, we'll talk about the upcoming games. We've got St. Louis Blues, Dallas Stars, and Arizona Coyotes. Coyotes if you're from Western Canada. All right. This is Oilers Live. Proud to be a friend of the Edmonton Sports Talk. We'll see you shortly. And Devin, Bruce, and the rest of the fantasy hockey hacks right here on Edmonton Sports Talk, Wednesdays at 9 p.m. Mountain, or tune in at youtube.ca/heavyhockey and make sure you like and subscribe. Looking for a hockey fix? We've got editorials, fantasy hockey, monthly brackets, and more. Go to heavyhockey.com. Hey, it's Oilers Live Tuesdays, a regular 9 p.m. Mountain Time, now streamed live on edmontonsportstalk.com, or tune in at youtube.ca/heavyhockey. Make ssure you subscribe.
Oilers Live Podcast.
Want hockey podcasts? Tough Call Podcast, 99 Forever Podcast, fantasy hockey hacks, and replays of Oilers Live. Available anywhere you get podcasts. Just search for Heavy Hockey Network or go to heavyhockey.com. That's right. We need your help. We need your subscriptions. Make sure you subscribe at www.youtube.ca/heavyhockey.
Oilers Live Podcast. Oilers Live Podcast.
Hey, it's Oilers Live. We're back for our third and final segment of the night. Got Dash back as my co-host tonight. And talking a little bit of Oilers hockey, talked Oilers versus Detroit, talked a little bit of trade deadline. Now we're going to talk about the upcoming 3 games before our next show. Next Wednesday, Jacqueline. Yes, the ad reads are a little dated. We'll get on that at some point. So Wednesdays at 5 p.m. for Oilers Live, found at youtube.ca/heavyhockey or that's right, or edmontonsportstalk.com. Before we talk about these upcoming games, let's talk about upcoming a week and a half from now, which is the Heavy Hockey Showdown in support of the Sexual Assault Center of Edmonton. We're going to talk about it now because we always run out of time at the end. But I want everybody to know. Yep. So we're selling pre-party tickets for February 24th. This is on the Saturday night. It's in advance of the Battle of Alberta. We're going to meet at Soho. Tickets are available. Just go to heavyhockey.com/heavyhockeyshowdown. And tickets are available there. There's a link. You can buy tickets for Soho. Those will sell out before the event, so make sure you buy your tickets right away. $10 plus whatever fee. I think it's like $11.50 or somewhere around there. There's going to be a great silent auction. Hyman signed stick, Draisaitl signed puck, some NFL tickets. I like artwork, all sorts of things. Like, it's unreal what Jacqueline and Lori and Allison and the rest of the team. Pam, can't forget Pam. Pam's always out there working silently in the background, but they they went out and got amazing silent auction items, yourself too, Dash. And all of these things are going to be there. You can bid on them there. And when we get, I think we're going to release a list sometime pre-party. But as I said, those tickets will sell out. And then that starts at 4 p.m. of game day. So that'll give you a chance to get down there, have some fun with a bunch of Oilers fans. You can stick around and have the sound on for the game, so you can watch the Battle of Alberta game. Or if you're going to the game, like myself and Dash, you'll have time to leave Soho and get to Rogers to watch the Battle of Alberta. Then the following day, we're going to get together for, this is the fun part, we're going to be at the Downtown Community Arena, and we're going to play a little mini series of hockey games. And it's going to be the team Edmonton Sports Talk versus Team Heavy Hockey. So expect Dash and I to be on a top line, either a top D pairing or
just dangling Tom Gazzola like there's no tomorrow.
It's going to be crazy. And we've got Surveyor Brett doing lines and officiating. It's going to be a ton of fun. Rob Clark's going to be there to sing the anthem for us, kick us off. We'll have it's 3 hours. So the ice is there for 3 hours, Downtown Community Arena. There's going to be raffles. There's going to be things in the stands for the fans. There's no fee to come watch. And it's going to be pretty good hockey. So you can come watch. Actually,
certain shifts.
Yeah, certain shifts. Hunter, the Lynx will be there. Lots of stuff happening in the stands.
Everybody blowing on loud cups?
Yeah, loud cups. Buy your loud cups. Let's see. You got one there? Oh, missed the opportunity. Oh, right in the back there. Yeah. There we go.
Product placement right there, buddy.
Right on. Right on. So we got
I missed an opportunity to sell.
We've got some loud cups that you can buy. Look, it's going to be a blast. It's going to be a lot of fun. I think right now we're probably at about 16,000 in fundraising dollars. I think we're going to break 20 easy. I'm hoping for 30.
We'll get
and honestly, like, how amazing is that? It's overwhelming for me, like, to think, where we've come with this game. This is now the 6th iteration, formerly the Oilerslive Cup. And look, it's phenomenal. And corporate sponsors, yeah, there's the original jersey right there. We're just, it's amazing things happening with this. And thanks to Dusty, Iwanek, Lieutenant Eric, that team there, Gazzola, for putting that team together. We're going to play for the Adam Zakuski Memorial Cup, guy formerly on Twitter. Anyway, all of that said, it's going to be a good time. February 24th, February 25th. Check it out. heavyhockey.com/heavyhockeyshowdown. Go to both the pre-party, go to the game. Both going to be a lot of fun. And just know that every dollar that you put towards this is meaningful. Every dollar. Like, when you think that $97 gives 1 hour of free counseling to somebody who has experienced the effects of sexual violence, it's
a life-changing hour
for
that person.
It is a life-changing hour. And it's so anyway, every dollar counts. Let's break 30K. Let's break 50K. Like, just know that and there's no profit in this for heavy hockey. This is purely about fundraising and doing that, and it's absolutely.
In fact, we've taken corporate sponsorship opportunities where we could have probably put more cash flow into heavy hockey, and instead we're just foregoing those to put them straight into our charitable foundation. And this game is something we're really proud of. You can see it in Mike's face, you can hear it in his voice. Now you'll hear it in mine. But the Sexual Assault Center of Edmonton, we said at 97 for an hour of counseling for somebody. If we can raise that amount of money, $25,000-$30,000, that's 300 appointments for people, right? And I think the most mind-blowing thing in all of this for me is that, like, we are, correct me if I'm wrong, the only sports related organization that has raised money for them. If you're in a sport, if you're in dance, if you're in gymnastics, if you're in swimming, if you've had any sport related sexual assault whatsoever, reach out to SACE and do something to help them out, because
Absolutely.
they're picking all this up. And like, here we are in a sport where hockey doesn't have the greatest reputation right now. And it's the sport we love, right? And so here we have an opportunity to not change the culture, but do our part to control what we can control. And this is our little way of doing that. And hopefully this slice of fun can help produce some healing for others.
Yeah. Couldn't have said it better myself. All right. Now we've talked about that. You got something you got to do. Go to heavyhockey.com/heavyhockeyshowdown. You know what to do. We'll talk about the Oilers. We got about just under 20 minutes left. There's 3 games between now and next Wednesday.
Yep.
Dash, you're the reigning heavy hockey oracle. Yeah. So I don't know. You probably didn't catch it. I know you caught the first half of last week, but we all time-stamped our monthly prediction. And so far, I'm on track. I said the Oilers would lose to LA, and they'd go 8-3. We've got St. Louis, Dallas, and Arizona. I'm not going to tell you to do the rest of the month. These 3 here. What do you think? What do you think's what's gonna happen here? Who gets the start in each game, for one? Who worries you the most? And what's their record after 3 games?
Boy, oh boy. So we're just doing the next 3. So
Yeah.
up until our next show, I
Yeah.
guess is what you're looking at here. All right. So I'm gonna say 1-1-1. Out of the next 3, I think we'll be able to beat Arizona. Maybe pull that Bettman point out of Dallas, and no, let's say I'll pull the Bettman point out of St. Louis, and then we might lose to Dallas. We got to keen up the PK. We've got to find some more 5-on-5 scoring. We could use to sharpen up the power play, really, or just to get some power plays. So, yeah, I'm gonna go with 1-1-1 or 2-1, and however that works. But
2-1-0.
so, what do you think?
So I had called Dallas as a loss in this stretch.
Okay.
So
Well, there we agree then.
yeah. So I'd probably go. I'll probably go 2-1. I think St. Louis scares me a touch. I think you could conceivably take Arizona a little too lightly, but I think I really think that the Oilers are going to come ahead in Arizona. They're going to come ahead in St. Louis. Dallas, I mean, matinees aren't a problem anymore, but it's still Dallas, right? Like it's
in the middle of a road trip, and you're not getting into your hotel in Dallas from St. Louis until the wee hours of Friday morning, and then you got to turn around and prepare for the next morning's game, basically, kind of type thing. So
I know when I first talked about this, though, on last week's episode, when I was worried about actually losing 2 in a row, it was to St. Louis and Dallas. And I still have that challenge. But I think that coming off of this big 8-4 win against Detroit, I think it should have been, and I hope it was, a wake-up call for the Oilers that they need to be better. I think they're going to work on a couple of things in practice. I think they're back to understanding what to do and what not to do with the defense, right? And Yeah. So if I think they'll come out on top against St. Louis. We get back to winning some games in a row. Dallas, I'll call that a loss, and then Arizona, I'll call that a win. That's what worries me the most, though. I didn't ask you that question, though it was in the show notes. Is this losing 2 in a row, St. Louis and then Dallas?
Yeah.
And actually, worries me more now that they've come out of the break and are 2-2. Because I don't want the Oilers to be the Oilers of early season, right? I don't want them to. I feel like this team can slip into that. But
they showed glimpses of it for sure, right? Like you started to see that PK slipping. You started to see some of those defensive mistakes creep in. You're starting to see Nurse flopping around on the PK on his knees and on his stomach again. I can't flip and stand when he does that, and you can see that in his game again a little bit. I don't know. I said 1-1-1. I kind of maybe want to change that. Maybe it's 2-1-0, but I think there's an overtime win in there, whether it's Dallas or is St. Louis. I'm not sure. Here's what I'm going to do. I'll just go overtime win against St. Louis, loss to Dallas, win against Arizona, and then they might even have like another overtime loss to Boston or just a loss to Boston. And then I think we're going to go on a run after that. I think we can take Minnesota pretty easily, Calgary, LA, we'll see St. Louis again, but, back at home, spaced out, then a bit of a break and into Seattle. I'm not worried about any of those teams. So I think we might have a little bit of a bump here. Maybe Minnesota could lose all the way until we beat them, and then we can convince Guerin to do us a little favor as the ex-Oiler. And, once he's convinced they're not making the playoffs, maybe he can send us a little Patty Maroon and Marc-Andre Fleury. And I don't know. They got a couple defensemen I'd be interested in if we're going to go to the last segment's story again. I don't know. Minnesota would be a hell of a trading partner. I'd love to get Jake Middleton out of there.
So, it's funny we're talking about, but back to there's 3. I said my 3 losses over the last 11 games in February were the ones that I said they'd lose to were LA, St. Louis, and Dallas. So I thought it would be a 2-game losing streak. And you're not far off from that. I mean, you're thinking those 2 will be tough. I see them probably playing Skinner in both St. Louis and Dallas, and then Picard and
that was the other part of your question. Yeah, interesting. You do, hey?
Yeah.
Well, and you're like,
Picard's been great.
I don't know if Skinner really needs a break, but he's gonna need a break when the playoffs hit.
Yeah.
Then he should have had a break, and that's what I'm scared of, right? Like, I mean, I don't think at any point in time so far or now or in the next few games, Skinner's going to show signs of wear and tear, but he might in the playoffs. And that's a little bit what I'm scared of. And we also need somebody else playing so that they can feel confident if we need him in the playoffs. So at this point in time, I don't think we can worry about whether it's Pickard or Campbell or whoever. It's obviously Pickard, but I don't know. Are we in a situation where we can really be that picky with who we play Pickard against? Like, the crazy thing about this is the Dallas game makes the most sense to put Pickard in. You give the 2 evening games to Skinner. He stays on his schedule. You give this little oddity that's, this weird travel thing and a 1 p.m.
Well, the Arizona game is a matinee as well.
Oh, right. That's right. Yeah, good point. And 2 days later as well. Yeah. So, he's going to get one of those 2 games, I would have to think. So, I don't know. It's going to be Arizona, but Dallas does make a little bit of sense.
I mean, they're back at home after that, right?
Well, and you come back to Skinner versus Boston, and right, then you can maybe play Pickard against Minnesota. And...
Yeah, I'm gonna guess we're gonna be on Tuesday night, not next Wednesday.
Yeah, I was just thinking about that actually.
Yeah, we'll let you know. We'll keep you informed. But I think
we don't generally do the Wednesdays because Tommy's got the pregame. Well, you know what the thing is though, pregame doesn't start until 7 or 6:30, and we'll be off the air by then anyway.
Yeah.
So we may be able to keep Wednesday.
We'll
do the pre-show.
Pre-show. Wow. Hey. Starting it up. Hey, opening up for Tommy Gazzola. I think.
Well, it's a weird 8 p.m.
I put
Wednesday
that in my high school yearbook. I want to open up for Tommy one day. I think it was probably Tommy Lee, but Tommy Gazzola.
Open up for Tom Gazzola the same week that you school him in hockey.
That's right. Yeah.
Yeah,
We'll
we could
find out.
probably
Yeah.
stay on Wednesday next week or that week, to be honest.
Yeah. Yeah. We'll find out and we'll let
It's a
you
weird
know.
8 p.m. Wednesday start, right? You don't see those 8 p.m. Wednesday starts very
No,
often, so we
and
might be able to slip in.
I hate them because they're that's 11
Oh,
o'clock
yeah.
start here in good old
Out in your
Atlantic
barge in the
Canada,
middle of the Pacific.
in my
Yeah.
barge in the middle of the Pacific.
Or the Atlantic,
That's right.
Pacific, whatever ocean you're in.
Atlantic,
The Atlantic, I'm
Atlantic.
pretty sure. Yeah.
I should know that. I should
Well, I
definitely
think
know
I
that.
threw you off. Yeah.
Yeah. So I think are we agreed then? Probably Picard in Arizona, I think.
Yeah, it's tough to argue with that. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yep. I think you see him Arizona, Minnesota.
Yeah. So I actually you know what? I'll have to hate to change something I already said, but I just feel after this 8-4 win, I can't see them losing to St. Louis. Like, and the reason is twofold. One is they're going to have some confidence now. They just, had a hell of a period of hockey.
Yep. Yep.
But the other is they also got their, butts kicked a little bit in the first two periods. So, they're not going to take it for granted, right? Like they know they kind of got lucky last night, right? Like it
Yeah.
could have been a different story if not for, Skinner keeping them in for the first two periods, right?
Yeah.
And so I think a game like that's good for you in some ways, right? Like you don't come out of it with the loss, right? And you got a little bit of confidence going into the next game. So I just can't see them losing to St. Louis, but that's who I had.
No, that's why I changed it from an overtime loss to an overtime win. Is partially that same thought process. What do you think the lines look like?
Oh, I think much similar to what we've been seeing, which is McDavid, Nugent, Hyman, Perry, Draisaitl, and Kane. It could be if we saw anything, maybe Holloway gets the lift after showing something.
Man, it'd be nice if he could audition as a top six forward and get the role.
I mean, you might see it early in the St. Louis game. If you're gonna, if they're gonna show, they might show it early in the St. Louis game. But Holloway's a lefty, right?
His goal was the thing that changed the game last night, though.
Yeah.
Honestly,
Oh.
right? He's between the intermission. Coach K decides he's gonna stick him with Draisaitl and McDavid, and he capitalizes on his first shift.
Yeah.
And that game didn't end up being the game-winning goal, but it might as well have been the game-winning goal because that was garbage time. That last goal that the Red Wings scored.
Oh yeah,
I've never seen a more depressed team after they scored a goal. Like I said to my buddy who's a Red Wings fan, I'm like, buddy, look at your bench right now. They might as well be crying that they scored. Three goals down with 6 minutes left. Like pop a quick one, pull the goalie. You never know. And
what about Janmark? You bring him back?
They tapped out. Well, and that's what I was just gonna say. Actually,
maybe
Gagne didn't hurt us,
actually
he didn't help us.
though.
Well, and you keep taking it right off the tip of my tongue. I was going to say, like, Gagne wasn't awesome. He wasn't terrible. He took a bad penalty, got scored on 10 seconds into being in the penalty box. He was a -1 in an 8-4 game.
Yeah.
I wouldn't say that's, earning you your next spot. Janmark probably draws back in. And, dude, I do. I think it's time for the Connor Brown experiment to end.
Yeah. Trade
him, actually. Right? Like, I don't know.
Well, his name's been brought up.
Bonus next year. It is what it is. Move him on. See you later. Yeah. I've given up on the point that he's going to score. It's not happening. Like I said, Tobias Reeder might score before he does.
I'm still hopeful, but really deep down, I've given up. I've given up as well. And look, if the penalty kill is not powering at all cylinders, then where is Connor Brown in this lineup? Right?
So if we need that depth, I know it's asinine to pull Nuge off that top line in hockey, but at what point in time do you consider maybe moving Nuge back to the 3C? Connor Brown starts scoring goals if you got Nuge beside him? Maybe.
Well, think about this. Nuge back to 3C. McLeod back to Draisaitl's. Yeah. McLeod back to Draisaitl's line. Holloway up. Line. Yeah. Holloway up. And then you got Kane, Nuge, and Fogle. Or Kane, Nuge, and Perry. Maybe you got anyway. Like if you're fooling around with lines. I think we'll see a lot of what we saw. Probably
Yeah,
the
I'm sure you're right. But
biggest change will be on the fourth line, who draws out, because I think you'll see Janmark back. And if I had to guess, I'm thinking it's Connor Brown until the such time as the penalty kill changes, or we just see Brown and Janmark continue to in and
Swap in and
out,
out.
swipe, and maybe Gagne in that mix too. The three of them sort of rotate.
they're kind of the same. Like Brown and Janmark are the same player to me. They're never going to frickin' score ever. They're just not.
Yeah,
Like,
I mean,
play-wise,
people
they're
are
sick, and it is what
down
it
on
is,
Brown, but
they don't get scored
Janmark's
on when
not
they're on.
scored either, right? I mean, he got one goal,
yeah,
right?
exactly.
Is that it?
Yeah.
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 So
But Janmark might be one of the most trusted guys on the team.
yeah,
As far as, they're not going to score when he's out there. I don't know.
yeah. I mean, it's not going to hurt to put all those, to change those three out. We've got about 2 minutes left. Anything on your mind? Last words wise before we call it a night.
What'd you think of the Morgan Riley cross-check heard around the world?
Well, first off, I mean, look, homers are homers, right? But I find it hard to believe that if an Oilers player did that cross-check to the head after a slap shot in the net, that I wouldn't be questioning the Oilers player for why he did something so stupid. That's
Go drop your gloves. That's my opinion.
Go
on it.
drop.
Like, if you're so pissed off about that, go drop your gloves and punch him in the head.
Exactly. And I don't see a lot of Leafs fans out there saying, Riley should have just dropped the gloves instead. They're all saying he doesn't deserve.
They think it's justified.
Yeah, they think
right.
it's
And that's the whole problem with the Leafs in a nutshell to me. And like, that's kind of my point in bringing it up was I don't feel like watching Morgan Riley skate across the ice to cross-check him in the head gives me the impression that they're a grittier team.
No,
like, I don't feel like, oh, Toronto sure is tough now. Look what they did. Right? And it'll make him a folklore. He'll be a bloody hero. You wait till the ovation that Riley gets by the Toronto crowd the next time they see him. He'll be a bloody hero. Right? But like his buddy Make Violent Hockey again and the rest of the Leafs, like they just think everything's so justified and all the Leafs rose-colored glasses.
I mean, I'm done listening to Reeves say anything about anything.
Yeah.
Right? Yeah. I mean, I don't know why they just keep going to him to listen to some terrible take.
Yeah, he's a soundbite.
Yeah. I just don't get it. It was stupid. It was a stupid play. You're right. If you want to have the violence of hockey, go drop the gloves, mano a mano, right? And maybe he doesn't do it, and then you can all hound him and say, "Oh yeah, Greg turtled," right? Call him turtle next game, right? You made your point. But like, what good does it do the Leafs to have him out for 5 games? Ridiculous. And you just lost to one of the worst teams in the league, right? All right, we're done. You got 2 seconds. Anything?
I'd take Ridley Gregg on my team.
All right. That's it. It's Oilers Live. Have a great night, everybody. Good night.